When I was a kid and I was back in school, I used to never raise my hand to answer any questions. And that was mostly due to the fear of rejection. I didn't want others to think of me as, wow, that kid made a mistake and the teacher said, no, it's the wrong answer. I thought that people are gonna see me this way. So even though most of the time I actually knew how to answer the question that the teacher has asked, there was always a chance that I may be wrong. And therefore, I'm gonna just let somebody else answer. And this fear of rejection haunted me for a long time, up until just a couple years ago. And it has cost me so many opportunities. And that is why I want to share this with you guys today. Whichever scenario I was in, it always played out the same way. Unless I was absolutely certain of an outcome, I would not do it. I would not pursue it. So me being the extreme introvert, I would overanalyze every single thing that I would either say or do and calculate the risk to see, hey, is there a chance that I'm going to be rejected by this? Even, for example, trying to get a girl. I would never, ever approach a girl and ask her out. That would never happen. Because I just thought, you know what? If we have a friend group and I'm talking to a girl in a friend group, there's a lot more chances for something to unfold there and to happen. And that way I'm just not taking a risk and stepping out there, putting myself out there to be rejected and then ask her out. I would not do that. And of course there were other girls I wanted to go after, but I'd never ask them out because chances are, well, they're talking to those guys already. They probably have a boyfriend. Maybe they don't, but I'll just stay safe because I don't want to come up there and for her to say no. And it's not for the reasons that you may think. It was simply due to the fact that I would feel like a fool for even attempting. I didn't want to feel like a fool, and it gave me that feeling that I was in trouble for some reason. You know, when you're a kid and you do something wrong and then the teacher calls you out for it and you feel like you just got into a little bit of trouble and you're like, oh shit, that's embarrassing. I absolutely hated that feeling. I never wanted to feel that way. And so fast forward to today, the fear of rejection is no longer a thing. I do things every single day that put me into a position to be rejected. As a matter of fact, even recording this video right now, I'm putting myself out there for you to dislike this video. Maybe you're gonna put a thumbs down, maybe you're gonna say a shitty comment. It is what it is. If I never overcame that, I would not even be able to post videos. I'm just sharing this with you guys because I want you to understand that there is a contrast. You can go from a person who doesn't make any moves, doesn't take any opportunities, and has that feeling inside them that I know a lot of us have. And this is why so many guys don't actually take the leap forward to ask that girl out, to just go for that job and try to see if you can ace the interview, or whatever it is that you're doing in your daily life. And you don't take that opportunity to go forward with it just because there's something in the back of your mind saying, I don't want to be wrong. It's going to be weird if, I get rejected, or this girl says I have a boyfriend and now I'm a fool. That's not the case. You can get that out of your system. I just believe it's something that as a man you have to work on. This is something that you can train and get better at until you no longer actually feel that. And it was very interesting because I remember during my career in sales, I used to get rejected every single day by customers all the time, even though I said nothing wrong necessarily or did nothing wrong. This is just part of life. But when I started, it was the worst feeling ever. I remember being trained on sales and it was my turn to talk to a customer, to open up and say something. And before I even got my sentence out, I barely just introduced myself. The customer looked so angry. It was an old guy, maybe they all looked grumpy. He said some sort of comment or just gave an angry expression and turned away and left. And in that moment, I felt like absolute shit. I couldn't forget that for the rest of the day. Even though I was already talking to the next customers, that stayed with me in my head. I was just thinking, what did I do wrong to him? I mean, I was just introducing myself. He didn't even hear me out. And I get it, maybe he's busy, maybe he's pissed off at something, but I don't have anything to do with that. Why is he showing me that? Why is he taking it out on me? I felt like I was a kid back at school who just got in trouble for something. And I just thought, wow, is this how it's just going to be from now on? Is this how it's gonna feel to get rejected every single day by an angry customer, rude customer, whatever. And I know you guys experience this too. And so the truth is, with every single rejection, and I mean every, that feeling fades. It was surprisingly very quick. Within a span of a couple months, I became numb to that feeling. As in, it wasn't even there. When a person told me fuck off to my face, they could say the worst shit. They could be the most rude person on the planet. I didn't care. It didn't get to me at all. I would literally forget the interaction in the next 5 seconds. I no longer had that feeling that I did something wrong. It was literally in one ear, out the other. It was so simple. And I just thought, wow, I never thought I could get here to a point where I can just shoot the shit, shoot my shots, talk to customers, talk to people, and get rejected like that on a daily basis and not feel anything. And when I mean not feel anything, I mean I didn't have a negative response to them. I didn't feel like I have to say something back to them. And so that's why in this video, I'm going to talk about how I overcame the fear of rejection. And the more important part is how you can also overcome that, because it's not the end. Just because you're an introverted guy, just because you don't feel comfortable when people refuse you something, and so you overanalyze it to the point where you're just not even going to make the move, it doesn't have to be this way. So we first need to understand and dig a little bit deeper to figure out, why is it that we don't like to be rejected? As a guy, as a human, why don't we like that? Well, you might think, well, because it hurts our ego. We don't like our ego to be hurt, right? But why is that? That's because whenever there's a refusal or a negative reaction from someone to ourselves, we take it personally. That attacks our ego. And truthfully, most of the time, it is not directed at you. As a matter of fact, it almost never is, especially coming from a person that doesn't know you. So the very first thing that we should really work on is not taking it personally. How do you stop taking things personally? How do you stop taking them to heart? Here's what I did. And it's actually very, very easy. Every single time that I've had an interaction where I was rejected, I would just play back in my mind what happened and put myself in their shoes. I tried to think from the perspective of the person that just said those things to me. So for example, if it's a customer, maybe the customer was having a bad day. Maybe he was just in an argument with his wife and he came to you and he was emotionally charged and he unloaded all of that on you. Sure, it doesn't feel nice, but did you really cause him that harm? Was it really you that set him off? Or was it something else, another event in his day that happened that caused him to have that reaction later in the day with you? If I know I haven't said anything specific to set someone off, I didn't purposefully try to offend someone or annoy someone, then it has nothing to do with me, does it? And if that's a stranger and they have nothing to do with me, why should I take it personally? I just kept on explaining that exact same loop to myself every single time when there was a refusal or a rejection. If you do this for a long enough time, and it depends on you and how many times you get rejected in a day or in a week, it's going to be different for each person. It doesn't even have to be that long. But at some point, your brain will start to do that automatically, which means when someone says something and refuses you something, you no longer will have to play back this loop and try to figure out what happened there. You're just gonna not take it personally. It's just gonna go in one ear, out the other. It's not gonna stay with you. You will literally forget about the interaction in 5 seconds, like it never even happened, and continue with your day, your mood, the exact same as it was 5 seconds earlier. And that's an amazing feeling. Someone could yell at you, say the worst things possible, and 5 seconds later, you forgot that that even happened. I mean, I remember going to a store and a cashier would look weird at me and I didn't know why. And that was my entire story of the day. I would go to my friends and tell them, can you believe it? I went to the store, I was just doing my normal thing. And when I was at the cash, I don't know why, but the cashier kind of looked at me weird. Like, that's so crazy. Why would he even do that? What did I do to him? I'm telling you, that was actually my thinking process back when I took these things personally. And then going to where someone can yell at you, curse you out, say the worst things possible, and you literally don't feel a thing. That happens after you train yourself and train your mind to reflect and understand how this pretty much has nothing to do with you. And the funny thing is, okay, what if you do know the person? What if it's your mom? Maybe your mom's pissed off that day and she yells at you. Is it really because of something you did? Or did she have a bad day? Because maybe on a different occasion, she would bring up the exact same thing more calmly, or not even bring it up at all. Whenever you're having an interaction with someone and someone's angry with you or they're rejecting you, just understand yourself that it's likely them. It's likely not on your end. And that way, you can actually go through the interaction without getting emotionally affected, without losing your shit, without being part of the argument, without being part of the fight. And not only can you understand that the other person had a bad day, I'm gonna take it a step further. You can get to a place where when a person actually lashes out at you, you take that as a compliment. I know that sounds crazy, but I remember for the first time ever, there was my manager and they yelled at me and let out a bunch of frustrations. And I remember feeling so good after because I not only didn't take it personally, because actually most of the things that were said were just said in general out of frustration, but I felt good about it because I thought, wow, my manager trusts me so much that they're even willing to show me their personal, unprofessional side, which basically gives me the ammunition and leverage to destroy them. They're showing me their weakness. And not that I'm gonna do that, but it felt nice because I thought, wow, they trust me. They really trust me and they can confide in me and they can show me that side of them and they'd never show it to any other worker. So you guys can say whatever you think, this is cope, this is like, you shouldn't take that. I get it. You shouldn't really take these things. But at the end of the day, we control our reaction. And naturally, if people can open up to you that way, then they trust you. Otherwise, they would have a guard or a wall up and defend themselves. But of course, if one of your close people yells at you all the time, that's not cool. Obviously, you don't have to sit there and take it as, wow, this is a compliment, they trust me, so they yell at me. That's not what I'm saying at all, because that's a problem. All I'm saying is that you control how you come out of the situation. You can either be offended that your boss yelled at you, or you can think, he just showed me his weakness. He just showed me his other side, which now means whether you like it or not, we're slightly closer, which means when time comes, I'll be the trustworthy person that he's going to promote, or I'll be able to ask for a raise. Or when there's a new position available for you to take, they will ask you. Why? Because they see your emotional maturity. They know this guy can handle whatever life throws at him. That's the perspective I'm coming from. So all in all, if you really understand at the core that rejections are not specific to you, they're not about you, and the way a person reacts is actually on them, then the next thing that happens is your ego doesn't get hurt. You don't feel personally attacked. And if you don't feel personally attacked, well, then you're just not going to get offended by that. You're not going to get emotionally charged. You're not going to lose your mind over it. You're not going to sit there and think, what did I do wrong? It's not going to happen anymore. So of course, there are other points to understand about rejection, but this is the biggest, most important thing. Just understand that rejection is not personal. It is not. Especially from strangers. They don't even know you. How could it be personal? No matter how personal it sounds, it's still not personal. Here's a more extreme example. Back in uni, I was having a conversation with this chick, and she was just part of a friend group. There was nothing crazy. And she basically started saying how, oh, I can't believe there's these people who need to go to the gym to feel good about themselves. That's just fat phobic. That's just shaming people's body types. And obviously I'm a fit person. And of course that was directed at me because I was sitting there eating my meal right after my workout. And, that was just the topic of the conversation. And she sat there basically attacking me for being into fitness, for looking after my health, for not wanting to look out of shape. And she said the following line: it's people like you, it's men like yourself that are causing other people to feel insecure about their bodies because you feel the need to go to the gym and prove something to the world. And I remember in that moment, I sat there, I didn't feel offended. I didn't feel like I'm the problem she's describing. I know I'm not doing anything wrong. In fact, I'm doing the good thing. But I sat there thinking, well, obviously, this is nothing to do with me. This is her projecting her insecurity, her cope, the fact that she doesn't want to go to the gym because she's out of shape. Yes, the person that was saying that was, let's just say, struggling, to put it nicely. But all of those things, even though they were on to me, she said it's men like you that work out and press the fat people, whatever they want to say. It's not actually me that caused her to say that. Maybe I was the catalyst, I was the trigger, but it's bigger than that. That means the world she lives in, one where she doesn't like to see people who are fit because it threatens her existence and it contradicts her way of life, naturally, she's going to be defensive about that. She's going to say things about that. It's not you who caused it. It's just her view of the world in general. So I never felt like, wow, this is so personal. I can't believe I'm such a horrible person. No. The entire time in my head, I was just thinking, wow, that's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate that she thinks this way. And I know it has nothing to do with me. She's just letting it out on me. I was just another channel for her to get her thoughts out. I was the trigger, the catalyst, but I'm not the cause of why she's out of shape and that she is insecure and offended by my existence. See what I'm saying? Even if it's directed at you, it's usually still not you. You just showed up there. Maybe this person knows you for just a year. Maybe they know you for the first time ever. How could whatever they say at you be personal? It's physically impossible. If they don't personally know you, they cannot personally attack you. Even if that's what it looks like, it can't be justified. That's why I never feel personally attacked by things other people say. Maybe you grew up in a household that was somewhat abusive. Maybe your mom or your dad kept comparing you to your classmates, to your friends and saying, look at this guy. Why don't you be more like him? And that's kind of like a personal attack, isn't it? But it doesn't have to be. If you sit there and you understand, well, the only reason she's saying that is because she doesn't approve of the path I've chosen, or she doesn't approve of the things I want to do, and the other kid or the friend is just following what their parents want them to do. I'm not saying your parents are wrong or right. If they sat you down and said, hey, you know what? We need to really talk about the things you're doing because they're actually worrying me. You know, you're staying out late and, you know, you don't answer your phone. So obviously as a parent, I'm going to be worried. That's acceptable. You can respond to that. But if someone's just throwing shit at the wall, they're saying everything they can to you, that's on them. That's not on you. You don't have to take any offense to that. You don't have to take it personally. And most of the time, they're the ones going to be apologizing after the fact, after their emotional outbursts, not you. If you happen to get triggered and offended by what they're saying to you, and you lose control of your emotions, and then you say a bunch of shit that you didn't mean, well, now you're no better than they are. You've now stooped to the emotional level where you lost control, and now you're going to have some apologizing to do, or make it better. So what did we learn so far? Well, first off, most of the time, rejection is not personal. And the second thing is that even if it's aimed at you, and you might think it's personal, it's usually the other person that's projecting it. They're projecting whatever's on the inside, on their end. But here's one of the most important things. Everything I just talked about, and everything I discussed and went over, and examples I shared, none of this is useful to you unless you apply it. So what that means is, if you want to get over your fear of rejection because maybe you want more opportunities in life, maybe you want to get the girl, or you want to have a chance to get the girl where the chance is not zero, because if you don't approach her, it's going to be zero. Or maybe you want to go for that job, maybe you want to meet that person, maybe you want to make a sale, or you want to put forward your idea. Just start doing that and ask yourself, what have I to lose? I got nothing to lose by doing this. Your only shit test to yourself needs to be, what am I going to lose if this interaction goes south? And if you answer honestly, most of the time it's going to be absolutely nothing. You're actually going to gain social resilience, or just your resilience to rejection, and you'll also actually feel good about it because you did what was scary. You put yourself out there to be rejected. I promise you, you're going to feel better about it. So implement this into your day. As soon as you have an urge to say something, ask someone of something, Maybe you're in school and you want to raise your hand to attempt to answer the teacher's question. Do it, because nobody cares. Your classmates are not going to remember that you answered the question wrong. That's so selfish to think about. You think that if you get a question wrong and it's kind of embarrassing for you, and I used to think that way, that everyone in your class is going to be like, wow, that's the guy that gets the question wrong. Well, that's just selfish. Nobody actually cares. Do you remember the last time you rejected somebody? No, you don't, because you don't actually mean it. You don't take it personal. You just said no because of whatever circumstances. And don't say that you never reject people. You ever gone inside a store in a mall and the retail person working there walks up to you and says, do you need help with anything? What do you usually say? No, I'm good. I'm just looking around. You just rejected that retail person. Now they have to go through the exact process that I just outlined. Or maybe they already mastered it. They're like, oh, cool, this person just doesn't need help. It's not me that's the problem, that they just don't need help. They just want to look around. So chances are you reject people on a daily basis, but you're afraid to get rejected by somebody else. So put yourself out there. You have nothing to lose and you have it all to gain. The downside is nothing. The upside is infinite. You get that job. You get the girl. Even if she rejected you, you gained respect from her and other people that she tells. You have it all to gain. Just understand that. And if you keep practicing this, you're no longer going to care if someone says no to you. It's just going to go in one ear, out the other. And you're going to carry on without being affected. So this is my message to you guys today. I think this is something I personally struggled with when I was a kid. And up until my early 20s is when I really started taking it seriously and trying to overcome that. And you know what? Life gets better. When you stop being offended or afraid to be rejected by anything, life gives you more opportunities. And if you take those opportunities, sometimes your life might get better. And I think we all want that. So if you guys like this video, feel free to follow me. Other than that, I'll catch you guys in the next one.